Hey guys, in this video I'm going to teach you how to use Material UI buttons in any of your web applications. So in this video we are going to learn everything you need to know about Material UI buttons component. Stay tuned till the end of the video. Let's install Material UI into this application. We can go to the browser and search for Material UI install. Go to the first link, copy the command that you see on the top, and we can go back to the code editor. Let's paste the command that we have copied from the browser and let's wait until it is installed. Along with Material UI, we are also going to install Material UI icons. Let's go back to the browser. If we scroll a little bit, we will find the command to install Material UI icons into the application. So here we have Material UI icons. We can copy this command and go back and install Material UI icons into the application. So let's paste the command here to install Material UI icons. So now all the packages are installed. We can go back to browser and read more about Material UI buttons, because mainly in this project we are trying to learn how to use Material UI buttons. So it's important to go and read the documentation on the Material UI website. So we can open a new tab here and we can search for Material UI buttons. Go to the first link. So here you will see the different kind of buttons that we can build with Material UI. If you want, you can read this entire documentation in detail, but in this video I'm going to cover a lot of these buttons and how to build them practically into the application. So we are not going to explore much into documentation. Instead we are going to learn this practically. So from here all we can do is we can go to the source code and see how to import button into our application. I'll copy this command, go back to the code editor, and let's import the button component here. And rest of the things we are going to learn very practically in this application. So we are not going to go back to the documentation anymore. So let's create our first Material UI button by copying this button component and placing it here in place of the Hello World button. And we are going to name this button as default, because this is the default button that Material UI provides. Let's see how it looks on the browser. So here on the browser you can see that this button looks very simple, but there are a lot of options to customize this button with the help of the properties that Material UI provides. So we are going to create a many variations of this button and explore the various properties of Material UI buttons. So let's go and create a second button which is better than this. So we are going to copy this button again, but in this case we are going to name this button as outlined, and to this button we are going to assign a property that is variant outlined. So this is the second kind of button that we can have in Material UI. Let's see how it looks on the front end. So in this button you can see that there is an outline around the text of the button. Because we are going to create so many buttons in this tutorial, to learn about the variations of the buttons that are available in Material UI, let's go and apply some CSS to this and bring these buttons on the center of the screen so we can see them clearly. So let's go to app.css, and here we can provide a margin top 20%, and we can give a margin left again 20%, margin right 20%. We can display the buttons as flex and set the flex direction to column, and we can also give some row gap of 10 pixels. Let's save it and see how it improves the layout. So here on the browser you can see that buttons now appear on the center of the page. So this is all done. Now we can go and create our third button, which is even better than the second one. So to create our third button, let's copy our default button again. The third button we are going to name it as contained. So here we can assign again a property of variant, but this time we are going to assign a property as contained. Let's save it. So you can see that the third button looks much more better. It has the blue background and the white text. So this is the third kind of button that's available in Material UI. So we have seen three types of buttons. Let's make this more interesting by changing the colors of these buttons. Let's create our fourth button now. So to create our fourth button, what we can do is we can copy this button, the third button again, and to this we can assign another property that is color, and we can assign a color as secondary. Save it. Let's see how it looks. So here you can see that the fourth button has been assigned a different color in Material UI, and it looks even better. Let's go and explore what all colors are available in Material UI. We are going to create two more buttons with the different colors. So let's go back. Let's copy this fourth button again. Let's name this button as secondary, and this one we are going to name it as success because we are going to assign a color of success. Let's save it. So you can see that the success button looks green, and let's go and create one more. Let's copy this success button again. This time I'm going to assign a color as error. Let's name this button as error. Save it. You can see that the button that has been assigned a color of error looks in red color. So as of now we have learned two properties that we can assign to Material UI buttons. One of them is variant and the second one is color. So another property that we can assign to these buttons is the size of the button. So let's create one button with a smaller size. For this I'm going to copy this button again. I'm going to name it as small, and I'll assign a property called size to small. Let's save it. So here you can see that the button that has been assigned a property small looks a bit smaller on the screen, and this one is wider and this is much more thinner. So this is another property that we can assign to the buttons. It's a personal choice what kind of buttons you are going to place on your web application. So now let's learn about more buttons where you can even add icons to the buttons. So let's create one button with the icon. So for this, first of all, we need to find the right icon that we want to place it in the button. For this, let's go to Material UI icons, open the first link. So here you can see Material UI has a lot of icons available which are ready to use. So I'm going to basically create a button that is delete button. I'm going to find an icon that looks like a delete. We can choose this one. When I click on this, I can see import command here. I'll copy this. Let's go back to the code editor and let's import the delete icon here. And now let's try and create a button with icon. I'm going to name it as delete button, and here I'm going to assign a new property that is start icon, and inside this I'm going to place a component which is self-closing component, and this is a component that I'm going to place in it, the delete icon. Let's save it. Let's see how this button looks on the front end. So here you can see this is how the delete button looks. There is a delete icon in the front and then there is a text. So you can even remove a text and just keep it as a single icon button. Let's do that. So I'm going to create another version of the same button where I'm going to remove all the, let's save it. So the last button you can see there is only an icon that's appearing on the button. We can do one more thing here. We can even move the icon after the text of the button. Let's go and see what I'm trying to say here. So I'm going to create another version of the delete button, and in this button, instead of assigning a property start icon, I can assign end icon. So let's save it. So now here on the front end you can see that in the last button we see the icon after the text. So guys, that's all I wanted to share about Material UI buttons. I hope using this information you will be able to make buttons on your web applications much more interactive and user friendly. Please do not forget to like this video, leave your queries in the comments, and subscribe to this channel. I'm also going to leave the code of this tutorial in my GitHub, and you will find a link in the description. Thank you so much.